So, about a week and a half ago, I played Pokemon Emerald with Rayquaza, and needless to say, it was a joke for the most part. But the champion fight was pretty unexpected. That got me thinking, is Rayquaza really the best Hoenn Pokemon? So in this video, I'm going to be running through Pokemon Emerald again, but this time with Jirachi. Looking at its stats, you're probably wondering why I'm even trying this. Clearly Rayquaza is better, right? Well, in terms of average base stat total, yes. However, there are a few things that Jirachi has that I think could give it an edge over Rayquaza. First of all, its stats are evenly spread out, being 100 in every stat. This means that it's slightly bulkier and faster than Rayquaza, which could mean that I might be able to win at a lower level. It also has a better typing, being only weak to fire and ground types, which are really rare in Hoenn. Its move pool is considerably worse, but I think that it should be good enough to not have too many problems in the playthrough. Just like in the Rayquaza run, I am going to be including a loss counter on the top left to keep track of how many times I had to reset throughout the run. Of course, if you enjoy my suffering and want to see more of this stuff, consider subscribing. Only a few people who watch my videos are subscribed, so it would really mean a lot if you could. Of course, only subscribe if you actually enjoy the video. Alright, let's do this. So the first obstacle in this run isn't even going to be a gym leader. In fact, it's the very first regular trainer in the game, youngster Calvin. He has one Pokemon, a Poochyena. Problem is, my only attacking move is Confusion, a psychic type attack. In other words, I lost to the very first trainer in the game. Now, thankfully, we do learn Swift at level 10, but since we're in the slow leveling group, this is going to take a while. After a few minutes of grinding, I come back and one-shot the stupid Poochyena. This guy must really hate psychic types. Fast forward and we're at Roxanne now, but she's obviously an easy win. Her two Geodudes are surprisingly not one-shots, but it doesn't really matter since none of her team can actually do any big damage to me. Her Nosepass does take a few hits before going down, but I never got to half health, so it was easy. Next is Brawly, but again, he's weak to my psychic attacks, so I'm not worried at all. His Machop and Meditite go down quickly, and for his Makuhita, I almost take him out with one Confusion, then he gets confused and he takes himself out. After a bit, we're on May 2, but I learned Psychic at level 20, so she's not really a threat. She decides to go with Bide with Marshtomp for some reason, although Mudshot would have been the clearly better choice. I'm not sure what's up with the AI in Gen 3. So I was scared for Watson since, like in the Rayquaza run, I don't have any good moves for him. However, here I have lower offensive stats, so my situation is a bit worse. I obviously take down Voltorb and Electrike in one hit, but Magneton is tanky. I try spamming Confusion to hopefully confuse it, which is boosted by Serene Grace. Eventually, I decide to just use Psychic, which takes it out. For my next trick, I use Wish to heal, and then I get a crit Psychic after getting fully paralyzed twice in a row. That was pretty scary. I'm actually a little worried for Flannery since I don't think Psychic will be strong enough to one-shot her entire team. There's nothing I can really do to mitigate Overheat's powers, so I might be facing yet another brick wall. Anyway, for Maxie, I Shockwave his Mightyena down, then for Camerupt, my Psychic does over half, and then he gets a crit Ember that brings me to 1 health. And then I take it and Zubat down. I think that shows that I'm not quite ready yet for Flannery. I level up a bit on the way to Flannery, and this is how my first try goes. I one-shot Numel, set up Wish for Camerupt, but Slugma uses Overheat, so it was actually a bad play on my part. Then I get a crit on Camerupt, which one-shots it. I'm pretty sure that wouldn't have one-shotted if it wasn't a crit. For Torkoal, my only hope is to use Confusion and hope to get the 20% chance Confusion, which I get, and she hits herself. I go for Psychic, and she hits herself again, getting me the win. Oh my god. That was some crazy luck. Now, for the first time, I'm actually not scared about Norman. I have high defense and I resist his normal type moves, so I can't see how I'll even get close to losing. At level 30, I get Rest, which, if I hold a Chesto Berry, is basically a free heal any turn I need it, if I even will ever need it. That could definitely be useful if my luck goes poorly in a fight. So yeah, Norman went as expected. His Spinda and Vigoroth were both one-shots, and then his Slacking was a 3-shot, but Facade did basically nothing. Then his Linoon was almost a one-shot, and he tried going for Belly Drum but failed, so I won shortly after. Anyway, with that, now we have access to a lot of the map, and this portion of the game is usually super easy since most of the trainers here aren't strong enough to do any big damage, but they also give solid experience. May 3 went exactly how you would expect. I completely destroyed her. And yet again, we have another easy win with Winona. The only Pokemon that actually posed a threat was her Altaria, which went for a few Dragon Dances and then used Earthquake, which did surprisingly little. I guess that goes to show just how bad Altaria's offensive stats are. Maybe a Swablu Solar run in the future? And then after that, Skarmory and Pelipper were obviously one-shots. I was a little worried about the maxi fight since I can't one-shot Mightyena, but it luckily just went for Scary Face, so another Thunderbolt took it out. Next is Camera Up, and I was worried. Psychic did about 2/3, but he used Amnesia, so my next Psychic didn't do a lot, and his Earthquake did more than half. Thankfully, he doesn't have any healing items, so I took it out, and last is Crobat, but it can't do anything to me, so it was a one-shot. So you probably all expected this, but yeah, I finally lost, and of course it was to Tate and Liza. But not because they were anything difficult. No, the reason I lost was because they had 4 Hyper Potions. 4! I get that they're 2 trainers, but oh my god, having nothing to do besides spam Shadow Ball on Xatu and then them just seemingly having an endless supply of Hyper Potions was so annoying. I'm gonna try this again at level 48, I think I can win. I try again, and this time it goes a lot smoother. It starts out as usual with Claydol doing big damage with Earthquake and then going down, and then Solar Rock bringing me to about 1/3 of my HP with Flamethrower, but this time I'm able to one-shot Xatu with Shadow Ball, turning it into a 1v1 against Lunatone, but her psychic attacks are double resisted by me, so it's already a win. I get the TM for Calm Mind after winning, which you already know I'm going to be using for the Elite Four. Of course, right before I can get the last gym badge, 2 grown men decide that awakening the elemental gods using the clearly wrong colored orb is a genius idea. Am I ever gonna stop saying that in every Hoenn run? I don't know. Anyway, after running some quick errands, I can finally battle the most forgettable gym leader of all time. I set up 2 cosmic powers against Love Disc, but it confuses me. For Whiscash, I do big damage, he sets up Amnesia, and I hit myself, which lets him get into Earthquakes, which does quite a lot. Thankfully, the boosts I got meant that I survived, so I was able to take him out. Next is Celio, but he was a one-shot with Thunderbolt, and last is Kingdra, but Psychic did almost all of his HP, so one more Psychic finished him off. In Victory Road, Wally challenges me, but like always, he was a complete sweep. You know, it would be really cool if he battled you more throughout the game. It seems kinda weird that you fight him once, and then he just comes back at the end with a full team. So here are my stats before the Elite Four. I got the Hidden Power TM, and I guess the stars must have aligned perfectly or something because I got Hidden Power Ice, the type that I needed. I was worried that I would have no coverage for Sydney's grass types and Drake's dragon types, but I guess that's alleviated now. The battle against Sydney starts off pretty badly. Thunderbolt isn't a one-shot to Mightyena, and he goes for Sand Attack. Great. I take it out, and next is Shiftry, and to my surprise, Hidden Power did less than half. He uses Swagger, but thankfully I defy the odds and take him out. Next is Walmart Shiftry, and he goes for Cotton Spore twice, which is really annoying. Thankfully, his team can't really do much to me. Cacturn goes down, and of course Crawdont is just a one-shot too. Last is Absol, and he goes for Sword Stance, which scares me, but then he just uses Rock Slide that barely does anything. That was a pretty annoying fight. Next is Phoebe, but she was really easy. Shadow Ball crit her first Dusclops, and then the only damage I took was from an Earthquake from her second Dusclops, but it didn't really do much. Yeah, I really wasn't scared about that fight. Third is Glacia, but it also wasn't really hard. See, this is where I knew Jirachi would prevail over Rayquaza. I had a rough time against her Wall Rain in the Rayquaza run since it would just one-shot me with Ice Beam. Here, the most any ever team did to me was her second Glalie, who used Explosion. Fourth is Drake, and if you were to ask me how I thought this would go at the very beginning of the run, I would have said that this would have been really terrible, but now that I got Hidden Power Ice, well, this battle went as perfectly as I could have asked. I know that he always leads with Protect, so I used Calm Mind to raise my stats for free, and then I used Hidden Power Ice, which puts him in healing range. That lets me get a second Calm Mind in as he heals. Then I use another Calm Mind, knowing that he'll use Protect again, so now I have 2.5 times special attack and just one-shot sweep his entire team. And finally, we have Wallace. I start by setting up 2 Calm Minds, doubling my special defense and attack while he just uses Double Edge. I take it out, and next is Whiscash. I use Psychic, which thankfully takes him out in one hit. And third is Gyarados, but it's obviously a one-shot with Thunderbolt. Fourth is Tentacruel, and I know that it has high special defense, but one Psychic is also enough to take it out. Fifth is Ludicolo, and Psychic brings him to literally 1 HP, and he goes for double team. He heals, I hit Psychic, and he goes down. Last is Milotic, and surprisingly, Thunderbolt doesn't one-shot. It's fine though, since he just goes for a weak Surf, so one more Thunderbolt finishes the fight. And that's it, Pokemon Emerald with only Jirachi. I suspected that Jirachi would have an easier time than Rayquaza, and I was right. I guess a lot of it could be credited to me getting Hidden Power Ice, but still, I think that me having a better defensive matchup helped me throughout the run. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe. I love doing these types of videos, and I have a lot more stuff like this planned for the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.